Hello, everybody. Welcome. I hope you all have found this. I made a little tech error this morning, and 27 of you heard a bit of mild profanity from me. So I managed to delete that post, so hopefully the rest of you didn't find it. I just pushed go live too early and then realized that might be a problem. So hopefully you all have been able to find me. Looks like 24 of you have, so that's a start. Welcome everybody from all over San Diego and Julia from Germany. Yes, I'm going to show the yarn that I dyed last week on changetheshed. Julie from Kirkland, not yet broiling. I heard the Pacific Northwest was supposed to be in the hundreds this week. That's crazy, crazy. Oregon Coast, hi Linda. Jean from Maryland, Nan from Woodstock. Johnston, Colorado, really right down the road from me, Elaine. Hello. Florida, hey, Laura. Jessica in Texas. Yeah, Nan says she had to faff around to get here. That might have been my fault, Nan. Sorry. Glad you found it. Susan's here from Pittsburgh. Yes, I will be doing some weaving of the yarn I dyed. Yes, just 1 week later. Oh, before I forget, I'll be here 2 weeks on August 10. I know some of you have Change the Shed scheduled out every 2 weeks. So I apologize that doing it 2 weeks in a row is sort of throwing you off, but I'm not sure what will happen for the rest of August after the 10th. So I'll let you know after that, but I will be back. Deborah, North Carolina. Yay. Spent some days working on a dye notebook. Yay, Mom Samson. Hi, Robin. Hi, Paula from the UK. Connecticut, Maryland. Brenda from Pennsylvania. Sylvia from Kansas City. Welcome, everybody. I'm in Colorado, and the sun is out right now, so we'll see. It's been raining like crazy here, so we cannot complain about the rain. Yeah. The more rain, the better, except that now we're having flooding. So anyway, last week I did a dye day on Change the Shed. So I hope that was fun. You got to see my garage and I dyed some yarn. So I have those little skeins today. They turned out quite well. Here's the darker colors I did. I did a teal. And this was the one that was going if you saw the broadcast, this was the pot that was almost done during the thing. This is a violet, blue violet. So this is one of my favorite colors to dye. That turned out great. And then this teal turned out just fine. This is yellow and turquoise. And then I'll show you that oranges that I dyed in the jars are the ones I'm going to be weaving today. So they were these 5 colors and they turned out quite well. And I'm making a little summer of tapestry with them. So I'll show you that. Welcome Mary from Wisconsin, and just got your COVID booster. Way to go. All of you who are, well, whatever. I'm not going to give you medical advice, but COVID is all ramped up here again. I started this whole Change the Shed thing with COVID, and it's 2.5 years later. I had no idea we would still be talking about COVID, but here we are. Anyway, hi Sue from Livermore, also not very far away. All my Colorado peeps. Oh, no interest in dyeing until last week. Well, see, dyeing is really fun. It's very addicting, I have to say. That thing when you pull something like this out of the pot and you're like, oh yeah, that's a nice color. It is addicting. But better addicted to this than Facebook, right? Or, other things. Hi, Kate from Northern California. Glad you're here. Yeah, and Leslie's here from Vermont. And great to have you all tuning back in. We're going to weave today. It won't be as hot. It was hot in the garage last week, but I think I managed that broadcast without sweat running down my face, so that's good. Often when I'm dyeing in the summer, I'm very, very warm. So I actually like in Colorado to dye in the fall and spring. It's a really nice time because it's much cooler. Hello, Deb from South Dakota, and Nan dyed some yarn yesterday. I think I saw that on Facebook, Nan, or in the class, the dye class. Very nice. Regina from Kentucky. And Hillary, yes, we are still talking about weaving. Let me show you what I am doing. Might as well just dive into it. I am doing a 4 salvage piece on this pipe loom. And it's a fairly large pipe loom, so I won't actually be able to show you the whole loom, but it's just like the one that I've showed many times before. It's just bigger, just because I wanted more space here. This is 4 inches wide, and I wanted more space on the edges because the warp is right in the center of where these pipes are. If you have more room for your shed sticker to manipulate the warp, it can be a little bit easier. So a wider loom sometimes is great. And these are the colors that I dyed. So here, let me show you. Oh, there's dog hair on there. Here are the little colors from those pots. There were 5 of them, and they turned out quite well. It's a gradation, and you can see I've woven the gradation here in these little circles. So orange, red, orange. They're all red oranges. And then the white is Faru. It's just a singles bleached white yarn. And this idea is for the Summer of Tapestry class. That is a class I've had so much fun with. Thanks to all of you who are here, who are making really wonderful things in that class. It's been really fun. It's a class about just experiencing things in weaving, like sketch tapestry, small little things about what you see and do. But this weaving came from this picture. These are the 5 dye jars lined up. And then I'm going to start doing this other part of the weaving today. And yeah, did the circles. I don't like weaving circles. These turned out as well as could be expected for a small circle, but not my favorite thing. So I'm glad they're done, and I'll be adding the rest of this. This is a fringeless warp, so the piece is only that big, and this is the cartoon that I'm working from. I wonder if you can see that okay. I meant to get a gray card to put under there. Let me know if you can't see what I'm doing. Oh, wow, Linda, I'm so sorry. Bakersfield, California, day 17 over 100 degrees. That's rough. Yeah, Laura says she's going to be sad for Summer of Tapestry to end. I am also going to be sad, but let's just do it again. How about at some point in the future? So let me just do some weaving. And if I turn this, you're going to be able to see my thing, but I guess that's all right. The little support for the camera. So I am filling in this part here. I just filled in this little hill, and I actually meant to have this all done before you got here, but I didn't quite get this filled in. So let's do that. Ah, Jennifer, thanks. Summer of Tapestry is the most fun class I've ever taken. Glad it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun too. Jennifer asked, how do you determine what to weave sideways or the regular way? This was an easy weave sideways thing. So this tapestry will go like this, like the picture, but it's woven sideways because of the horizontal lines. Absolutely. I mean, circles are circles no matter which way you turn them. And these shapes would be completely different. If I wove it this way on this tiny little warp, these would be all stepped. And if I weave it this way, I can make all of these lines curve, smooth. So that was absolutely I'm going to weave that sideways tapestry. And that's often how I decide where are the vertical or horizontal lines. and how can I turn it so that I'm accentuating the thing that I want to emphasize. In an unrelated question about Riveting 77 said, my spinning class at SOAR, I'm not teaching spinning. I just want to make that clear. I am teaching tapestry weaving with hand spun. I am not qualified to teach spinning. But I mean, I'll demo some stuff, but I am not, I expect most of my students to be better spinners than I am. Might you consider a few videos on hand spinning for weaving? Sure. Yeah. Definitely, that would be a fun thing to do as I'm developing I'm not quite ready for the SOAR class, which is in October. So SOAR is Spin Off Autumn Retreat. It's something that Long Thread Media does. It used to be done by Interweave, and now Long Thread Media, which produces hand-woven, spin-off piecework, and there's a new magazine called Little Looms. And this is not an advertisement for them, but they are great. I really love the people who are running. Ann Marrow and Linda Ligon are running, plus another guy whose name I always forget. I'm so sorry, but there's 3 of them running this company, and they're doing a great job. Anyway, Spin Off Autumn Retreat. The white areas that have 1 warp. Was that in warp and weft? So Lori, I think you're asking about these spots. That's just a weft wrap. I'm just wrapping that weft going up, and this is a small enough, this is a slit. I mean, I can stick a tool down through there. I didn't sew it because sewing a 1 warp weft wrap is tough. But yes, if you want to see more about that in warp and weft, it's under the verticals section. There's a whole section about making verticals, and I'm 95% sure it's in part 2 of warp and weft, which is my biggest techniques class for tapestry weaving. Yay, Elaine's coming to SOAR. It's going to be fun. It's in Wisconsin, but it's in October. I think it's going to be great. Hello, Judy from Vancouver Island. I love Vancouver Island. So pretty there. One of these days I'm going to get back to teach in that area. Okay, so I actually have this set up with a fairly thin open shed rod up at the top of this loom, and so I'm doing a little bit more picking of the shed than maybe I would need to if I had, I mean, basically you can pick the shed with your fingers, but if my open shed was a little bit thicker, it would be faster. Okay. So I tend to switch back and forth between using a shed stick and using my fingers. I don't think it really matters, but it probably does show a little bit in the weaving when I'm doing one versus the other. I can't imagine that it would make some difference. But part of the thing about these small tapestry diary pieces for the summer stuff is that they are for fun. And I don't worry quite so much about, I'm probably not ever going to put this in a show unless it's like a show of all of my tapestry diary stuff. So I just do these for fun and apparently now to teach. All right, so I'm filling, if you just got here, I'm filling in this little line. Can you see that? Yeah. Is it better with a different color? That textured thing might not be great. Let's see. So I'm building up a curve. This is at 10 ends per inch, and I'm only using 2 strands of Faru, and it should work great, but it's not quite packing in exactly the way I want it to. I'm not sure why. Questions to experiment with, because at 10 EPI, I mean, technically I should be able to use 3 strands of this yarn. probably not bubbling enough because I'm trying to make sure that my edges don't go out. You can see here this went out a little bit, so I'm trying to manage that by keeping it tighter, and that can mean that it doesn't cover as well. Not something to get too bent out of shape about, right? Just the things I think about when I'm weaving. Thanks, Monica. She said that color's better. I probably do have a gray sheet somewhere. Maybe. All right. So I'm building this up. This is probably fairly boring weaving, but I should be able to get this line in today. This will perhaps remind you of the wildflowers piece I did on the big tapestry. I will say that this design came probably directly from that. I was thinking about just paint, and these are, pots of dye, and then I was thinking about, dripping paint or dye or something. So that's where that little design came from. Let's see. Let's go there. Just deciding how to make the curves, where to make my weft relays so the curves are good. Now I happen to have two butterflies here, and I have two forms. There's a little drip here, and then this is white in the center. So the two butterflies, I did that on purpose because I can use one of them on each side of this little form, which I'm going to split right now. I am going to have a meet and separate problem for that little drip right there. Because if I add just one butterfly between two other butterflies, that messes up my meet and separate. But before I deal with that, I'm going to get this line in. I don't like what I did right there. Let's see, can you see that? I needed that to move over one. Sometimes you don't really see where the curve needs to go until you weave it. So I'm going to take that out and move this over one more. Once it's in, it can be easier to see. Yeah, Judy, great. I wondered if someone was going to catch that. The warps are doubled. This is a fringeless warp for salvage weaving. And Judy asked, since the warps are doubled for fringeless, can you split them for the detail section? Which is exactly what I did in these circles. Those are woven at, I warped it at 10, intending to just weave everything at 10. And then I started these circles and I was like, oh, I could split these. Not really thinking clearly that that meant 20 ends per inch. So these circles are woven at 20 ends per inch. I'm not going to do that for the curves because I don't think it's necessary for the detail. I might do it for the little drips, but weaving at 20 ends per inch is a real pain in the butt. It's just fussy. It took me a long time to weave those circles, and were I to do them again, I probably wouldn't have woven them at 20 ends per inch. But they turned out pretty well. I mean, for circles and tapestry, they're not bad. Okay, so we have this curve all in there. I'm going to do my favorite little split weft outline for these. Getting the right shed. Y'all saw me do this over and over again if you watched me weave that wildflowers piece. It's exactly the same thing, it's just on a tiny tapestry. And we're going to, let's look at my cartoon and make sure I get this right. I have the lightest color first, and I often will do that. I often in a design don't put a really light color at a border. Your eyes are drawn to the lighter colors, and so sometimes if you have the lightest color at the top or bottom of a tapestry, it's a little bit, it's not a bad thing, it just can be a little disconcerting in terms of the design. So for this design, I want the brightest color in the middle. This yarn is Harrisville Kohler singles, so I will also use 2 strands of that at 10 ends per inch. On larger tapestries, on my big looms, I use 3 strands or sometimes 4 strands at 8 EPI. At 10 EPI, 3 strands. Let's see. Put that down. I'm going to pigtail this just to get a little edge there. Okay. Let's put that color in. I am looking at the meet and separate here. I actually know so this is going this way in this shed. So in the other shed, I want this to go this way. So in this shed, I want this to go this way. So this will work out if I... Don't you love hearing what my brain is doing? Maybe, maybe not. I'm actually going to do a second pick with this so that I can start my tail not on the edge. Okay, also that brought those 2 tails to the middle, so that's good. Okay, now I think, I sometimes am wrong, but I think this will work. If it doesn't work, I'm going to go with it anyway. To put the tail here. Actually, could also pull it all the way in. There's no reason why. These are really feathery, so the other thing, instead of having a tail on the back, I could actually pull that all the way in. Let's see if that works. Yeah. This is eccentric weaving, so you want lots of weft in there. Okay, so my question is, nope. Got it wrong. Look at that. So that shed and this shed, I want this to go this way and this to go this way, and I got it wrong. I'm going to switch it actually, since I did the pull-in thing. I'm going to switch it the other way. So to fix it, if you took that Fixing the Sheds workshop I did, which is one of the shorter workshop classes, I talked about this. I probably made lots of mistakes like this, but I'm going to do the same thing and just pull this in the other way. Basically, I didn't need to bring those tails back to the center, but now that I did it, I'm just going to fix it in a different way. If you don't know what I'm talking about in terms of meet and separate, it's okay. I cover it a lot in all the classes, all the beginning classes. Okay, now I'm going to go and fill in this dip. All right. Yes. Okay, so you can see if I do this, you'll be able to see that these are now in the right sheds for meet and separate. And honestly, it doesn't matter that much at this point, but when the white comes back across the top of this orange, then it will matter. It's not something to get really fussy about, but the white is going this way in this shed and the orange is going that way, and that's what I wanted. I promise that actually does become second nature eventually. Thanks, you guys. I'm glad, Audrey, thanks for saying that hearing what my brain is doing is not a bad thing. Sometimes it's a little scary in there, but most of the time it's pretty PG. Deb says fixing the sheds is a lifesaver. Thanks, Deb. Oh, I credit it with my love of eccentric weaving. That's fantastic. Eccentric weaving. I say that word wrong because I was an occupational therapist, and when they taught us about eccentric contractions, they made us say eccentric. And it's stuck, and now it doesn't have anything to do with muscle contractions, and I still say it. Thanks, Susan. I didn't know about the lottery, but apparently maybe she said the circles remind her of a lotto card. Maybe someone will win the 1 billion on Friday. I'm sure somebody will. Probably won't be me because I'm pretty sure you have to actually play to win. One day. Okay. This part is fun. I love filling in shapes like this. And just going back and forth horizontally and filling in the little areas. Welcome, Maureen. I'm glad you figured out how to join the chat. I think for those of you who are watching this who have wanted to join the chat but haven't, I'm pretty sure you have to have a YouTube account, which is just a form of a Google account. If you already have like Gmail or something, it's really easy to get a YouTube account. They call it a channel, and I think that scares people off, but you don't actually have to put videos up and have a channel to have an account. But that is, I don't think you can comment unless could be wrong, but anyway. If you have an account, you can subscribe. So click that little button that says subscribe, and also click the thumbs up. If you're ever watching my videos, it's really helpful in terms of the search engine stuff. It just helps my business. So if you don't mind subscribing and clicking those little thumbs up, it really does make a difference. It's the easiest thing you could possibly do to support this particular free program. Yeah, playing helps. True, Susan, I'll never win the lottery if I don't actually play. Colorado lottery sometimes gets pretty high. The thing I like about the Colorado lottery is that all the money goes to Colorado Outdoors, which makes some really great stuff that I enjoy using. So, trails and all kinds of other things. So playgrounds, all kinds of wonderful things they do with the money from the lotto. So maybe I should play sometime. All right, so I'm bringing this, and I sort of wove that up to the edge of this little hill, and I'm going to bring it over the edge eccentrically, and then fill in this part so it's all level. If you're having deja vu, it's from that Wildflowers tapestry, because I totally am. Sorry, I was just reading Mary's comment about what I was talking about designing and keeping the lighter colors, maybe not having a lot of light colors right at the edge, and how it draws your eye sort of. The light colors draw your eye, so how you design, that think about value when you're designing something, where the lights and darks are. Okay, let's see. Let's go all the way across one more time. Smaller sections help keep the weft tension correct. And then I will probably need to add another butterfly of this color. Oh, maybe not. I could do it like I did the wildflowers piece. Let's do it the way we did wildflowers. I'll show you. I will be getting back on the big loom this fall. I have a piece about mushrooms in the works. I've been reading a book about fungi, and it's fascinating about the whole like underground world of mushrooms. Fungi, whatever, the mycelial network. If you're a Star Trek Discovery fan, the mycelial network is what they use to jump to other anyway, you don't need to know this. I just made a mistake there. Can you see it? See how there's two wefts in the same shed? I see this a lot in students' work, and I call it a double shot. And if you see this as you're weaving, look carefully right away and fix it. You can fix it later, but it's a lot easier to fix it right now when I just made the mistake. What I did was put the shed stick in the wrong shed, starting right here. So let's take that out. I made a float here. The float is on the back, but I put it under two wefts in a row. I basically picked up the wrong shed with the shed stick, probably because I was talking. So go back here and pick up the other shed, and then it will look like we want it to look. You see the warp like that, we call it lice, because there's too much weft in there for it to cover the warp. If you're using a really thin weft, like a weft that's probably too thin for your warp set, you won't see that because it will cover. And that's actually what the Navajo weavers do, is they use a very thin weft for their warp set. And so they can put double shots every time they move a form over. They can put a double shot, two wefts in the same thing. And because their weft is so thin, for the most part, it just covers and you can't see those double shots. And structurally, it's fine. Okay, we're filling the rest of this curve in. I love it when you guys thank me for making a mistake. I actually didn't make that on purpose. I mean, I didn't do the mistake on purpose, but that's why we do this live, right? Because I screw stuff up all the time. It's not really called screwing up. It's just part of the process. Okay, now let's call that good. Now I have done, so you can probably see it better here. I've woven all the way up to here, and I need to fill in this part of the curve. So I'm going to bring, this is how I did that flowers tapestry. I'm just going to eccentrically weave this down the side. This is a much smaller tapestry, so I'm going to be a little more careful because there's just, you can fill a shape up really fast when it's a small thing. I need to just fill in basically this little tiny hill right here, and then I'll be done with this color. There's actually sort of two little hills. This is such a tiny thing. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna add a little bit of a hill here. We'll see if you can see it in the final work. And then right here, same thing. And if I bring this all the way out the edge, then this whole form will be in the same shed. If I had left the tail over here, these two parts would have been in a different shed, which is fine. You just have to deal with that as you go forward. It's easier for me if they are in the same shed. Okay. See how that split weft outline made this so smooth? I'm gonna do it again. Oh, and if I hadn't cut this off, that would have been smart. If I hadn't cut that off so short, I could have just used the tail of that. Would have been smart. I'm going instead to make more tails. Okay, it's getting a little bit thick there. And then, of course, I'm gonna mess. I'm thinking about my shedding. Again, I'm gonna bring this back. No, I'm not. So I have a color that meets this one right here, and it is the next value, which is this one. We did this one, and now we're going to do this one. I'm going to think about that question in just a second, Monica. That's a good question. Let me put this in first so you see what I'm going to do. So where this meets, I still want it smooth. So this is going to be the orange, and then this is the white coming in. So I'll have a different color in the outline there. Talk about split weft outlines in warp and weft in, I think, part 3, pretty sure. Okay. Pigtail that. Just adding new tails willy-nilly. This is the same shed as the orange. I'm adding this white for that split weft. Now, I think my shedding is going to be wrong. Oh, no, it isn't. Probably should have known that, but I was not sure. Okay, so then if I'm going to use this white, this shed is correct for me to use that, which is awesome. And I can just weave this over the top, and I'll fill that little part in. Monica asked, could you weave this small oval orange on the right? I think she means this. With one butterfly, and then continue the white meet and separate over the two wefts. Yes, actually that's a great idea, Monica. I could have woven this up here, woven this one in, and then taken this white across and filled this in, because this is tiny enough. I think it would have worked fine. So that's a great question. And the next thing I need to do is do that little white thing. We have about 5 minutes. Oh, thanks, Jennifer. In my book, which is right there, The Art of Tapestry Weaving. It's behind me. It's on page 258, apparently, the split weft outline. So if you have the book, that's where it is. Back to the little drip. I guess I could mix up the colors of the drips. Yeah. We'll just make it the same. I'm just going to fill this in because of the line at the edge here. It's actually going to work fine without worrying about the shedding. In this case, it's such a small form, it's not going to be an issue. I'm also not going to do the split weft outline here because this is so small. And we'll see how I like that. It might look more drippy if it has the little waves of not having the split weft outline. We'll find out in a second. Okay, I want to fill in the little bottom of this so that it's curved at the bottom, sort of here. If I just, you can really shape a little curve on a small thing by making sure you pack enough weft in the part that you want to be lower or whatever, shaped. I don't know if that makes sense. It's looking pretty good. Okay, I like that shape. I'm going to drop one of these. I don't want this shape to get too much fatter, but I want to bring this weft across the top to end it, I think. So I'm going to use just one strand to do that. And I'll take that out if, oh yeah, my sheds are, hold on. The sheds here are wrong, but I like the smoothing effect of that. So I guess I'll bring it back. Don't want it on that last little part. All right. So what Monica was saying was, now at this point, could I just use this butterfly? And the answer is yes. This was Monica's idea, and it's a good one. Because all of these shapes are just sort of fairly flat, this won't work with, only works with some kinds of designs. Sometimes you really need like a tapestry bobbin to get the right amount of weft in there. Okay, and then this is the wrong shed, but I can fix that by bringing this in, and that actually takes the tail away from the edge. So I like your fix, Monica. And then this can continue across here. Oh no, that did screw it up. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. We'll leave the tail on the edge then. So now I want to fill in this low spot. And I want everything, to come back up to as level as I can get it. All right, so I'll fill that in till that's all level. Make sure that this little white part is where I want it, and then I will add in the next part. And that'll be that. Let's see. So, hopefully that was fun. It's fun to work with yarn that you just dyed. So that was yarn that I dyed last week in the Change the Shed broadcast, where I was doing some stuff about the dye class. So This is the dye class. This is the last week of my launch for it. So if you're interested in learning how to dye your own yarn, you can join that dye class, Dyeing with Acid Wool Dyes. It's at tapestryweaving.com under online learning, and jump in. It's really, really fun. I did another video Monday, which will be in my newsletter tomorrow, about the setup that you need for dyeing. So I showed you sort of almost the bare minimum of what you need, because I think people feel a little bit overwhelmed especially when I start showing you how much stuff I've collected over the years. I've been dyeing for almost 20 years, you guys, so I have collected a lot of stuff. But I showed you the setup that I used when I first started, and you can do something like that, just really simple, 1 pot, 1 burner, and a couple other things. So that video will be in my newsletter tomorrow, which you can also sign up for on my website, which is tapestryweaving.com under Let's Talk. Hello, Amber from Southern Oregon. Today's your son's 22nd birthday. Well, happy birthday, Mom. I bet 22 years ago was quite the day. Also, happy birthday to your son, but he's not here, so I think moms need the happy birthday when their kids turn another year. Oh, great, Nan. Yay, I'm excited. Nan is in both Summer of Tapestry and the dye class. So she said she's using her newly dyed yarn for her next Summer of Tapestry piece. That's exciting. Yeah, Deb, there's lots of ways to work with tails. And you're right, it depends on the material. She says if I ever use a smooth yarn, some of my favorite ways to bury a tail won't work. Like what I was doing where I pulled that yarn in, it's very fuzzy yarn. It'll just stay there. But if I was using like Weaver's Bazaar or maybe even Array's probably fuzzy enough, but a real slick yarn, I wouldn't do that because it probably wouldn't stay. Anyway, different materials mean different techniques. Not drastically different, but yeah. Anyway, great. Thanks you all for coming. Thanks for hanging out with me and watching me weave another tiny tapestry. I will be back in 2 weeks on August 10th. Not sure about the rest of August, but I will let you know on the 10th. And next week I won't be here because I have I won't even tell you why. But the week after on August 10th will be great. And I will see you then. Oh yeah, Nan, that's great. Sarah Sweat has a class on dealing with tails. Sarah Sweat has a really great, I actually can't screen share right here. I might show it to you. If you go to her website, afieldguidetoneedlework.com, a field guide to needlework, or just Google Sarah Sweat, SWETT. She makes these amazing PDFs. So she has a really great PDF called Tucking the Tails. And I think you can get it as a PDF download. I know she sold it. I have like a physical copy of it. She is a great drawer. She does graphic design, cartoon kinds of things, and it's a really, really fun thing. Anyway, that's a little plug. Thank you, Nan, for reminding me. It's called Tucking the Tails. It's fantastic. It has different ways of dealing with your tails. afieldguidetoneedlework.com is her website. Sarah Sweat is amazing. If you don't know her, go to her website anyway and just look at all of the amazing things that she has done for her long career. She's so creative. All right. Have a great, great time. And I will see you on August 10. Can't believe it's going to be August so soon. Bye-bye, y'all.